From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. I'm the founder, CEO, and Chief Digital Strategist at Stunning Digital Marketing. In today's show, we have agency chat with Mr. Ryan Waterbury, and we're going to talk about why you need to market your agency. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. The SDM Show is brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, the digital marketing concierge that helps you put all your marketing pieces together. We are your marketing experts. We are also your WordPress security experts and know how to lock down a website and protect yourself from bad actors. So contact us at Stunning Digital Marketing today. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. And today I'm here with my good friend, Mr. Ryan Waterbury of One Dog Solutions. Hey Ryan, how you doing, man?
It's a nice, bright, sunny morning. We're going to be 60 degrees Fahrenheit this afternoon, so it is a good day.
So are we, but then we are going to get freezing rain this weekend. It's you
Same.
live in Minnesota, I live in Toronto. You know what March and April are like, right? We just need
Mhm.
to deal with it. So
Yep.
today we sort of had a discussion about we should talk about marketing your agency. And I actually think the discussion can apply to any business owner, not just
Mhm.
web agencies or digital agencies. Because I don't think business owners generally do a good job of marketing themselves. They do the feast or famine. They get busy, they get really busy, and they say, why do I need to spend money on it now? And then they get slow and then they go hunting for jobs. Personally think it's better off to market when you're busy than when you're not busy. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, it absolutely is, and it seems counterproductive to do it. And the problem that it seems that way is a lot of people, when they realize that they need to market, are busy and they don't have time to sit down and build a funnel and a marketing campaign and do the admin work and the client work
Yep.
and all the pieces. So it's difficult. So at that point, if you're not a marketing agency yourself, you can go out and find one, a lead gen agency, another agency to help you. But there's some simple things that you can do on your own that don't take a lot of time. And one of the ones that I was consistent with until I filled with business was my newsletter.
Yep.
And, with AI writers out there today, there's no excuse for anyone not to do one. And my I usually cease mine down to, a cadence of once per month in the fall because we're busy and it's holiday season. And once we get through Black Friday, I like to take a little time off because we're winding up to that point through the holiday season. But I stopped it completely because every time I send out a newsletter, I have at least 1 to 2 clients asking for work. And they're not usually small things. They're at least 5 to 10 hour tasks that have been sitting around. And any touch point that you have with a client, newsletter, social media post, that's another way for you to get in front of them, even if you're not selling. And that's the thing that you need to keep in mind. You don't have to have an offer every time that you send out a communication with your client list.
No, I agree with that. I think a lot of agencies, excuse me, have dropped out of the doing a newsletter game, and I don't understand why. It's the easiest, it's the most effective. It's most effective for any business. What do you do it using traditional newsletter software, i.e., MailChimp, Constant Contact, MailerLite, Choose Your Poison, Active Campaign, or you think about even going to something like I do, where I moved mine to Substack about 6 months ago, and I've had really get great success with that. Also because of the Substack community, but same idea, right? And do it consistently. I do mine pretty well. Where on Mondays I send out a podcast newsletter, and usually Wednesdays I send out a regular newsletter. That's typically the way I roll. The other thing I also do in order to market the agency is once a month, I like to send out an email to clients only. So there's not all the people that subscribe just saying, here's what I'm working on, here's where my head's at. Uh, there was a note in the one that's going out tomorrow saying, by the way, WordPress 6.8 is coming out because that's coming out on April 15th. So we know that's coming. Just little things like that. It's a good way to stay in contact with your clients, especially if they're on care plans and they don't call you regularly. Because out of sight, out of mind is not a good thing.
Yeah, the care plan reports that you get out of Maine WP, I looked at those as a touch point, but clients don't care. They want to actually hear
No.
from you personally. They want to hear your words and things that you're working on. I send that newsletter out to my client list only quarterly. And usually, and that coincides with some of my marketing clients. We only get together quarterly and go over
Yep.
their reports and results. Some of them are monthly, but most of them are quarterly. And it's a time to sit down and chat. I do in persons quarterly with a handful of my clients that are spend a lot of money with
Mhm.
the agency. And that's another way to market. We sit down and we strategize and we talk about products and services that I'm working on, products and services that they're working on, and find new ways to market it. So my retainers are almost always changing these days because we're doing different things.
Yep.
And it took a while, and it took being consistent and providing value for those clients. And each one of those pieces that we're talking about, newsletter, social media posts, being
Mhm.
visible, and making time with your clients. Like I had mentioned, I do quarterly one-on-ones where they have a free 1 hour session to go over whatever they want.
Yep.
And that's another marketing piece where you get great. I ask for feedback from my clients. What do they want? What do they want to see different? What can we do for them to improve our services? That's all part of marketing your business, is
Yep.
it's just getting in front of your clients. And
Yep.
each business and niche and business type is a little different. But once you find where your customers are, whether it's social media, your email list, a phone call, you got to be consistent about reaching out and doing the work to remind your customers and potential clients that, hey, we're here. Otherwise, the most relevant phrase that I heard a while ago is, you can wink at a girl in the dark, but the only person that knows what you're doing is you.
Yeah. So true. The other thing I would say you're talking about one-on-ones. I did something a little different again this week. I've done this before. As you know, I don't take calls in my calendar on Friday afternoons as a rule, because I find 90% of the world is checked out on Friday at noon. So I keep my allowing clients to book into my calls at Friday morning at noon Eastern time. I've done that. I used to not do it at all, but I have a couple of clients who have to do Friday morning. So I just said, okay, I'll just open it up. But I cut them off at noon Eastern. And one of the things I did recently, and it was in my Substack this week, is I offered anybody in the month of April some 30-minute chat sessions if you just want to jump on an office hours call and have a chat. And I guarantee you, 4 or 5 of those will turn into work somewhere down the road. So things like that help. This podcast helps. I'd be lying if I said it didn't help. That's one of the reasons I do it, right? The podcast really helps. Um, by the way, SEO, stop emailing me and tell me you can't find me online when the podcast is everywhere. So leave me alone. And there's things like that. And also even referrals help in marketing. Like how many agencies actually ask their clients for referrals after they finish their job, right? Not many. Why not?
I that's when I started out, referrals were 100% of my business for a long while. And
Yep.
you come out with the service, and your greatest fans are uh your current and past customers that you knocked it out of the park with. They're your biggest cheerleaders. So you're absolutely
Hmm.
right, asking for referrals. But getting in front of those people, even if you've done the work, it's an absolutely great way, like you said, to get referrals because uh, somebody's going to reach out to them and say, "Hey, I like your website," or, "Oh, you seem to be growing your business. How are you doing it?" And that's actually how I onboarded a couple of new lead gen clients this spring, was from one of my current clients that were crushing it. And we've
Yeah.
done great work for them for a few years now and bring leads into them consistently every week. So he's been really happy and referred some new good clients that are needing the same services. So
Yeah.
keeping your clients happy is absolutely a must. And keeping them happy will allow them to go out and talk well about your business. One of the things, reviews. That's another thing that always ask for your clients for reviews on your social media pages, your Google business profile. That's a big ranking factor for Google, but you can talk to clients until you're blue in the face, but social proof, that's another marketing tool that you need to have a method and to ask for reviews. And I always look at reviews and look at past customers' experiences. I
Mhm.
want to know if they're happy with what they got and how they worked with that person. So
Yeah.
that needs to be part of your marketing game as well. And a lot of people don't think about it like that, that it needs to be part of your marketing scheme. Social proof is huge. And if you're an agency with 5 reviews and you have all 5 stars, that actually means less than someone that has 150 at 4.8 or 4.9
Yeah.
because they've actually, done the work, shown that they have a greater volume of work, and it's a bigger volume of social proof. So
Yeah. And speak of reviews, the one tip I have is somebody posts a reviews, you should answer every review. Like I make a point of that. Another great way, YouTube videos, how-to videos, if you want to do that. And there's a lot of people that are stuck in this fog that says, I shouldn't give the information away. Folks, the information's everywhere on the internet. Make yourself the expert, make yourself the subject matter. Make yourself the person that people go to when they're looking for stuff. And then they'll hire you. People hire people they like. And that's proven time and time and time again.
I can't tell you, I do a lot of DIY things, and
Yep.
I can't tell you how many times I've hired someone to do the work that I'd planned on doing myself because I got busy with work and just said I can't do it. And how I found them was probably through their blog post on their website that showed me step by step how to do it. We published I have a contractor, and we published some cold weather tips for windows
Yep.
right before the season last fall and how to prep for it. That actually converted at least a dozen leads over the first part of the fall into the winter that we measured. And he was a little hesitant, like he said, to put that information out there. And he said, I don't necessarily want to put that out there for them to do it because we're going to lose work. We prove to him and that this does work, that we saw clients come in, look at the article, and then hit the link to have him come and do the work because they realized
Yep.
that it was going to take them too much time. And he
Mhm.
was seen as an expert because of the information that we put on the site. So, and it still continues to bring in leads and traffic to the site. So, absolutely,
Yeah.
DIY articles are still great. And
And and another good way, along with articles, is write a book. Our good friend Bridget Williams written several. I know my good friend Ross Brand's written several that have been featured in. Believe it or not, I'm working on a couple ebooks right now. I'm actually taking the transcripts of this podcast via AI, and I'm about to generate, believe it or not, 10 volumes basically of information. So I'm working on some books as well. So write a book, share your information, become the thought leader, and be receptive to people. Like that helps a lot. Right? Now, one of the things we haven't dived into is PPC ads, pay per click.
Mhm.
You've done them, I've done them. I haven't run one in probably a couple of years. I don't seem to need to lately. I don't know where you sit on that or don't.
I, I am actually, I just reactivated my Google Ads account. And
Okay.
part of the reason is I've built a couple of new services and packages. When going into the pandemic, we were a restaurant and leisure travel agency, marketing agency. That's kind of what we had morphed into because of all the referrals from hitting it out of the park with one local restaurant. We started onboarding a bunch, and we found that local SEO combined with some targeted Google ads and remarketed with Facebook ads. This is when you could still track everyone. Works
Mhm.
great. And, while they're less effective than they were before because of the privacy laws and concerns and the tracking blocking, they still work. And
Yeah.
you're at the top of the page. So my advice is if you don't haven't built a lot of SEO and your pages and your site isn't ranking super high, spend a little money on PPC. And it's a shot in the arm that can get you some traffic and visibility quick. And you don't need a huge budget to do it.
Yeah.
We're finding that even 500 bucks a month these days on just one channel, Google, is converting enough leads to keep one of my
Really
clients
well.
consistent. And the click costs aren't as bad as they used to be. It depends on the niche. Now, if you're deep sea
Yeah.
diving and you have a high ticket sale item, you might spend $75 on that click for that client. But if
Yeah.
your product or service is $10,000, you need to take that into account that if it helped you sell a $10,000 deal and it costs you 75 bucks
It's the
to
cost of doing business.
right. So you need to realize that you absolutely have to spend money on marketing if you're not gonna sit down and use some of the earlier methods that we talked about, social media, newsletters, and things that you can do yourself. um, Start paying for ads. But I will caution you with the AI tools that are built in now, if you get it wrong, they will spend your money the wrong way even faster than they did before.
Yeah.
So with ads, I would suggest working with a professional or doing a lot of research if you're going to DIY it.
I would agree with you. AI tools are a big help. One of the big things that's happened recently, and you and I are both all in with Gemini, right? And Notebook LM, still to this day. Notebook LM is like my savior. So for those who don't know, the transcripts from this podcast are actually Notebook LM and Gemini um, generated. What I do is I take the audio, I upload it to Notebook LM, it generates a show notes, and then I take that transcript and I dump it back into Gemini, and what do I get? Nice formatted highlights, and it works so well. I think people need to use it, especially with things like email copy. I had a client, not in the web space, but it's still relevant. My jewelry store client, I was out yesterday, and the owner said to me, "Sent out a newsletter yesterday. What I really should have done was run it through AI before I sent it out." And I'm like, "Yes, you should have." So we actually took the newsletter that they sent out. And by the way, their open rates are like 65%. They have an engaged list that's clean, that's, amazing. And we took that and we put it into Gemini and we had it spit out what the newsletter turned out to be. I was like, oh, that's really good. So I think people need to start writing their stuff and dumping it into Gemini and then kind of massaging it a little bit. I think even for social media copy, it's worth taking your post and dumping the post into AI and saying, what should this be? That kind of thing. I think AI is a big help in the marketing game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't write my newsletters with AI. I kind of refuse to because I've never gotten any good output. But what I will tell you is uh, Lingwix it's like Grammarly. It's
Yep.
just a different tool that I use. They were early on to put in their editor in their Chrome extension. And the nice thing with that is when I'm writing and it sees I'm not writing grammatically correct or I'm getting out of my style, it'll highlight and it'll remind me and said, hey, you might want to rephrase this to stay
Yep.
within your voice. And that sped up my newsletter writing immensely.
Hmm.
Just because if I'm kind of stuck on what I want to say or I haven't written it quite the right way,
Yep.
these tools will help you correct. And if you're a small business or a solopreneur, using tools to be more efficient is a no-brainer. And if you're
Hmm.
not doing it, you should start. I mentioned Linguics, that's a good one. Hemingway, Grammarly, they all work really similarly. And I was kind of surprised at my girlfriend's office. They have a new gal working, and they finally sat down with typing. She makes a lot of grammatical errors. So I said, why don't you get Grammarly? And since they've done that, the they've gotten some responses back from their clients that the writing is more professional and cleaner. That
Yep.
that one client had responded and said that they appreciated the delivery on something that was sensitive. So AI tools are great and they can help you with a lot of things. What Ron mentioned with Gemini and Notebook LM has become one of my favorite SEO tools. And I'm not going to give you
Mine too.
the secret sauce, but when I saw what it could do when it was first released into beta and I got in, I was my eyes opened wide and I said, this is going to be a game changer. And it has been.
Yep.
And just
Yep.
some simple things that we were already doing became more aware. And the fact that it's a Google product helps out a ton when you talk about search. So look around, find an AI. There are a lot of niche AIs too that fill specific needs that are industry specific.
Yep.
So, those tools are great and can help you if you don't have the time to market and,
Yeah.
write copy, build images. It's be cautious because you can get some bad stuff out of AI. We all know that, but there's no reason not to use it to be able to start marketing.
No, I agree with you. It's funny. I was playing with Gemini yesterday. I'm working on a landing page for a client, and I had Gemini spit me out the layout of the landing page. I was that lazy or smart. I'm not sure which, but you know.
Right. Uh, that's one other thing that a lot of people, if you really want to go down the road and get into it, when you talk about landing pages, we do a lot of A/B testing, and that once we get a funnel that works, we get people consistently in it. That's the next step, refining your landing page so you can cut down your costs. And
Yeah.
uh, AI has been fantastic with that. Well, even just putting on a heat map and figuring out where people click and making adjustments, those tools are invaluable. But
No, I agree.
the whole point is of the original part of our discussion was you need to market, and if whatever method that you find, it doesn't matter if it's just a social media post daily or a newsletter, or if you want to spend the money on ads, but do something. Otherwise, nobody knows your business exists. And that's the
That's right.
that's the simple fact. 90% of the websites out in the web never see a single click.
So
That's
true.
that's a true.
And the other thing is be consistent in your marketing. If you're going to do a newsletter once a month, do it same day every month if at all possible. If you're going to do a podcast like I do it on the same days every month. Um, and also think about in your marketing ahead or batching your work. And I really stress this. So if you've got, say, a newsletter you got to do next week, why not get part of it written ahead of time? Don't wait and sit Monday night and say, oh my God, I got to write a newsletter on Tuesday. That's a bad idea. I usually do mine way ahead, usually a
Right.
couple of days ahead, and I just sit down. The podcast one's easy because it's a roundup. It's the other one. That's the one that takes a little bit of thinking and taking time on what tips I'm going to include, what I'm not going to include,
Mhm.
what I'm going to say. So just do it ahead. Make your life easy and you'll
You
be
know,
rewarded for that.
yep. And you don't even have to write the newsletter ahead. What I do is when I see something that's going to help myself or my clients in their business, I
Yep.
start making a list of tips and tricks that I might want to include in my newsletter. Even little things like that, just collecting ideas and putting them in a swipe file for your newsletter. That's planning ahead. And I
Yep.
didn't even think about it like that until, a while ago where I just said, wow, this actually is time saving. And I just did it as a housekeeping thing. I said, oh, I want to read this later. And,
Yep.
little things,
And
little
a
things to
great
start.
tool, Ryan, I'm going to stop you for a sec. And a great tool for doing that, honestly, is Pocket. If you if you don't know Pocket, go check it out. It comes with browser extensions. There's a really good free tier. And the cool thing with Pocket is you can clip articles and just save them and then go back and read them later. And what I do is I actually clip articles and I tag them, and I'll tag them newsletter, client, personal, partner, all kinds of stuff. So I know, and then I can go and do a search by the tags and tell me, oh, I was curating stuff for newsletter. Here it is.
Yeah, that's really effective. I do the same thing. And
Yeah.
I'm not using Pocket, but just the built-in
Same idea.
Chrome tools. Yep, it's the same way. I just started using it before I discovered Pocket, and it works. And just planning and that's the other thing. I specifically block time out and schedule time to market.
Yes.
That is the
Yes.
one thing that I wanted to get in this podcast, that you
Yep.
need to plan time for it. And that's
Yes.
the thing that you touched on when you're stressing out that, oh, next morning I got to write this newsletter. Well, if you blocked your time out and you allow time to do it, it shouldn't be anything to worry about. But you need to plan ahead and schedule that time. I plan 4 or 5 hours to do my newsletter every other week and go through and make sure the articles that I've clipped are relevant,
Hmm.
and that I have a topic that's relevant for my clients, and sit down
Yep.
and write it. And then I go through and read it again and make some edits and then send it out. But I
Yep.
schedule time
Book
for it.
the t- book the time right in your calendar. I I have a standing item in my calendar every day. Now, sometimes I take it out depending on what's going on, called business development. And I book an hour in minimum a day. And then typically Thursday for me is a podcast day. It's usually a non-client day. And I actually book time in for producing, because podcast is marketing. I book time in to produce the podcast, and I do that, and I book it right in my schedule. Because you don't book, if I don't put it on my calendar, it's not getting done. It's that simple.
Exactly. And I've tried all the different time techniques, but time blocking and actually
Yep,
putting a block on my calendar is the only one that I found to work for me, because then
me too.
people don't bother me. And the other thing, when you're working on your marketing, if you found a hard to, sit down because you're busy, turn everything off. Your
Yep,
email, put on do not disturb on
yep.
your laptop or focus mode if you're on an Apple device. Block everything out and sit
Mhm.
down and do the work. I've taken to doing that more and more and making complete silent blocks. I'm more productive when I do that and I'm focused in on what I'm doing. And those interruptions that keep you busy, I aren't an excuse at that point, because you are focused in on that one task. And if you blocked out time for marketing, that's what you need to work on.
Yep. So true. Hey, Ryan, thanks for this. I hope some people take the advice that we've given them. So we've been both been doing this a long time. So hopefully they can check you out over at One Dog Solutions. And I hope you have a wonderful day, my friend.
You as well.
Thanks, Ryan. This podcast has been brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, your digital marketing concierge to help the business owner put all his pieces together, whether it's email marketing, WordPress security, WordPress design and development, PPC, and more. Text Stunning Digital Marketing for all your digital marketing needs today. A very special thank you to Ryan Waterbury for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. The SDM Show is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much every day. My mother, Ann Cairns, who's still doing really well and is an inspiration. And of course, Tiz Maroney. And Tiz, I know I've said it, but thank you so much for all the inspiration you give me every day.